Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the Extreme Metal Podcast. My name is Adam Nestor and I'm joined as always by the amazing Isabella and the wonderful Charles. Welcome, guys. How are you?
Hey, Adam, how's it going?
Awesome to be
Fantastic.
here. Great to see you.
Great to see you as well. Every week a highlight.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Today's topic will be gender roles in our modern relationships, and it will be especially interesting because of Isabella's very traditional upbringing, Charles coming from a different generation where people thought about this completely differently, and me being a millennial but have a very 50-50 relationship that pretty much basically disproves what most of those podcasts are saying, that certain things are not possible as they should be, whatever. And I think that it will be very interesting when we dissect all of that. What do you think?
Let's do it. Let's jump in.
Nice. So let's start with, personally, I believe that gender roles in themselves, it depends. For example, my wife and I, from the first date, actually, step one, we literally split everything half-half. I asked for permission, can I take the bill on the first meal? She's like, cool, but I want to take care of the desserts. Sure, why not? And since then, for almost 7 years now, we constantly switched who pays for the meal. We also have this 50-50 in everything else we do. When we buy groceries, we always split the cost. But the difference is where we have different roles. It's about talking to people. Like, for example, we are both freelancers, right? And I'm the person who gets the clients on board and I just bring her in. She doesn't have to prospect because I'm really good at this. So I lead the negotiations. I lead the conversations face-to-face with people. Hey, this is how it's going to be. This is how it looks like. While she takes complete control of the organization. Like, when do we have to deliver this? How does it look like? And so on. And I give the final look from that strategy-wise. The same is true for the rest of our relationship. I would never have to tell her, oh, because you might get assaulted one day in a dark alleyway, 1 in a million chances. Now you have to be my slave, bitch. No, that's what they literally use on those podcasts. Like, yeah, the woman has to follow the man because I'm the one there to protect you. So you make me a sandwich. We don't have this kind of transactional relationship. Literally yesterday, I came from the training. I was dead. Like, it was so intense. And I asked her, like, hey, can you please make me like the chicken strips? Because I'm really, really done. I don't want to move. Sure. Today she asked me, like, hey, I have to leave soon. Can you make me a coffee? Sure, here you go. Right? Or like, hey, she comes and like, hey, I'm hungry. She's like, what do you want? Okay, I want this? Cool, I'll make it. Right? Because I want to cook anyway. So that. And I would say that's the first difference in the roles. I don't think that women should only cook and clean. Men should go out and make the money. I think if you're better at making money, make it. But it should be in a way fairly distributed. For example, I think that a man that kind of cook and clean for himself is fucking useless. If you cannot clean and cook without a woman and you starve to death, well, evolution is taking care of that problem, right? That's pretty much that. So you should complement each other. For example, Lisa, she's taking care of the laundry most of the time. In exchange, I pay a cleaning lady. So she doesn't have to clean the house, right? Stuff like that. What do you think of this?
I'm interested to know more, Adam, because I was in a relationship that I would describe it as a 50-50 relationship. It was intentionally set up that way, and it was not successful. I would say that it ended up being a very transactional checks and balances type of relationship.
Really?
What I'm hearing from you is that you guys have a system and it works, and neither of you are really keeping track of, hey, I did this, so now I expect this. Whereas in this previous relationship that I'm thinking about, it was very much like that. It was, I did this, so now you need to do this. It became, as a result, very dysfunctional. From that experience, I thought, well, this whole 50-50 thing, I don't know that it works. But what I'm hearing from you is we have a very 50-50 or a very balanced relationship and it works. So what do you think is the difference between a transactional relationship of checks and balances versus a 50-50 balanced relationship where we are lovingly coming and saying, of course, I'll do this for you. I want to do this for you. I would love it if you would do this for me.
Oh, that's such a good question. Like, dude, your question always, every episode are so on point. This is amazing, man. So I would say the difference is entitlement. For example, the philosophy we go here is we both want to contribute to the relationship because we are better together. So if I can do something for her, I'm actually happy because I'm grateful that I can contribute to my partner. And she's grateful that she can contribute to me. We both want to do something in there. And we just have this natural trust that it is how it works out. I do something for her, she does something for me. And I personally also believe there is no merit in denying your partner a reasonable wish. If you love a person, why should, like, of course, like, I'm not gonna, hey, I want more money, rob a bank for me. Sure, no, right? But basically, I remember this was so cute. One time she was going shopping with a friend and she asked me, do you want me to bring you something? Like, as in, do you need something from the grocery store? And I'm like, I want something that's fun, that's cute, and that's surprising. That basically was part of a slogan in Germany. Like, we have these little chocolate eggs, and the original slogan was, it's something fun, it's something surprising, something sweet. And so I used it as a reference, and she literally brought me back something that was insanely cute, like a little figurine. She brought me some chocolate as well. And like, she literally put some real thought into this and brought me that. And I was super happy with that, right? And so small little things like that, where we actually do our best to make the partner happy. And I think that the reason is this. For you guys, your relationship was intentionally set up to be 50-50. It was intentionally set up to this. So you both came into the relationship thinking this has to be 50-50. And it will be like that. The problem is a romantic relationship doesn't work like a normal transactional relationship. So it shouldn't be, you owe me this, but more like, I like to give you this. And when both partners do it, then it works out.
Yeah.
Because let's say we have this transactional relationship, right? And I want something from you. So I either have to ask you for it and then I owe you something, or I have to put something on you that you didn't ask for, and then you owe me something, no matter if you want to or not.
Right. Yeah.
And that will never work because that's tyranny. It is always a one-way tyranny. This is not a 50-50 thing. It's like, hey, Charles, by the way, I bought your car. I hope you give me something equivalent for my next birthday.
Right. Yeah.
Like, the fuck, dude? Like, what's going on? I didn't ask for this. Right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't work.
Yeah. That's such a great point. What I'm hearing too is that idea of giving versus getting. Even hearing you talk and putting myself mentally back in that situation, it felt very much like a getting situation, an expectation of getting with very little giving. And of course, there was a lot of other things that were not supportive and loving and wonderful about the relationship as well. But when I think about how the interaction was, it was very much the emphasis was not on giving. There was certainly not like a pattern of lovingly giving or doing for the other. So yeah, I'm curious to know about your experiences in this realm.
Well, so I actually grew up in a household that's very different from what other households in China look like. So the most traditional side of things were my relatives and my friends and some people that I knew growing up in China or Hong Kong. It was very much a male dominant gender role where men go out, they usually go to different cities and they work and they send money home. And the women just stay at home and raise the kids with the grandparents. So it's like the woman's role is to raise babies and the men's role is to make money. And I know some of my friends' households, women don't even get to sit in the same table to have dinner.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, so it's the men and women just eat in the kitchen.
Fuck.
Yeah, I know. But I grew up in a household where the roles are very different. I think it's because my dad grew up an orphan. His parents died when he was very young, so he just stayed at his siblings' houses growing up. So he really longed for a family feeling. My mom, she does all the cooking and my dad does all the cleaning, which is unusual for a man in that kind of role. Mostly because my dad, he's a Virgo and he thinks nobody can clean dishes as well as he does. So even when my mom would clean the dishes as an act of love, he would do it all over again.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my God.
He spent like an hour cleaning dishes.
Wow.
Interesting. That is very interesting. It also seems like a good equity share, kind of like both taking care of something.
Yeah, exactly. That felt like their unsaid 50-50. Like you cook, I clean.
Yeah. For example, when I think back on the relationship with my wife, when we met each other, she was making like $300 a month as a waitress. And we split rent it was almost 50-50. It was actually 50-50 because she paid like $300 and I paid $300. But in exchange, she literally had almost nothing left like that. Basically, I took care of all the other stuff that I could take care of. She wanted to be 50-50 in everything that was possible. And I was like, hey, if you can't, don't worry about it. It's okay. I earned so much more than you. It's perfectly fine. Once her income rose up and she got a little bit more, she took care of more. And in the beginning, when she didn't have this high income work, she would dedicate most of her time to cleaning, to helping me with my clients, to supporting me as the main breadwinner. And the moment we figured out a way, she found interest in copywriting, and copywriting is a very well-paid job. And now we are both working at this. Now she focused also, of course, on bringing her career up. I supported her. She supported me. We both did it. I gave her the resources she needed. Because of me, she never had to pay for a single course of those things. Because of me, she got most of her clients. And also because of how I trained her how to negotiate for herself, now she earns, let me see, $300 to 3,000 would be 10x more. So it's 20x more than usual. So that's that. So I helped her grow. She helped me grow, because without her, I wouldn't have been able to afford my hypnosis education. Because the $200 she paid for rent, or $300 it was enough to pay the monthly installments for the school. So there was that. And later, when 2020 and 2019 hit, where things were really, really difficult, like 2019 was good, but 2020 was horrible. I literally lost all my income immediately out of nowhere. And she carried all of our money because she was always saving and careful. And I was not. I was investing every buck I had into stuff. And it stressed her the fuck out. I know. But she kept strong, trusted me, supported me. And this is where, like traditional gender roles, the woman supports the man kind of. It was not because she was a woman and I was a man. It was because I was doing something trying to get us higher. And I had put in more work into the entrepreneurial stuff than she did. And so she put all her work in me, and in the end, it paid off. And then I gave back to her again by pulling her up, right? And I think that this is how a relationship should work in general. I don't think it has to do with gender or sex. Sure, some people have specific preferences. And yes, men cannot have babies. Cancel me for that. And women can. It's simple as that. So yes, there would be a natural inclination that the woman needs time for a kid, but why not both? Why is it not possible that both parents take time off? Why is it not possible that both parents care for the child? Like my wife and I, we don't want children. I don't know if we ever want them. But basically, if we had them, I know for a fact it would be a complete 50-50 on this. It is the same thing with our cat. I'm the one who mostly lets her out because I'm awake earlier than she is. And she knows that I'm the one to wake up because the cat always comes to me and wakes me up first and lets her sleep. And I get her out and I feed her. And the same would be true for the baby. Doing this together is more fun because we take care of it, but also being open and willing, and that's where the transactional stuff is gone. Yeah. Being willing to carry the other person and overspend kind of on the other for a while or for a long while, because you know in the end it balances it out. And even if it doesn't balance it out, it doesn't matter, because you are together, you love each other, and together you make something great. So for example, in 2020, Lisa was carrying most of our costs. And now it's pretty much 50-50. So you could say, well, kind of unfair because she had to pay everything for me. And when am I going to pay for everything? Then you take a look at it, it's like, well, together, our household income grew tremendously because of her 1 year of sacrifice and my 1 year of sacrifice of not spending enough time with her and like working hard and 58-hour days. Now our career that we have together is so much better. Mm-hmm. So basically her sacrifice was kind of an investment that now is paying off.
Yeah. I mean, is it even a sacrifice at that point? I bet if you asked her, she would say no.
Yeah. She would probably say it was an investment. And for her, it was like, yeah, of course I support you. I love you. Right. And same for me as well. I remember she once told me she wanted to start a Marie Kondo consulting business, and it was like $2.5 grand. And she just asked me to borrow. I would have paid it for her without asking anything in return. It's like, hey, can I borrow it for you? Sure, here you go. I gave it her on the same day and she could pay it on the same day, no problem. And even though she never finished that education, did I like, oh, I gave you that much money for what? Who cares? It was something she wanted to do. And if she doesn't finish it, it's her choice. I don't care. It doesn't hurt me. I'm not looking at my bank account with a big notice. The $2,500 you invested both back then didn't really, like, who fucking cares? It doesn't matter, right?
Right. Exactly.
So the art of not caring is also a big part of 50-50 making work.
Well, but would you say that it's not even about not caring? It's about caring to support the person in the moment for what they want, what they need, because it's a true partnership.
Yeah, that is actually a way better description. Yeah, instead of caring how much I get, I care how much I can give. If both people match each other on that without a sense of entitlement, then it's literally exactly the right result. Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, since you said your relationship was set up in that way. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds kind of like it was an arranged relationship or it was too logical. Like, tell us more about it.
Oh gosh. It was, you know, well, I'm gonna kind of talk my way through this a little bit. So we'll see what comes
Sure.
out. But similar to how Isabella was saying that subconsciously she was getting things from her parents, I feel like I had a similar experience. My parents are from a generation where things were a bit more traditionally 1950s American, where the man was the breadwinner. Both my parents worked, but my dad was definitely the breadwinner. My mom was definitely, she was the person who was running the household. And I think that it's not even a question to think. I know that there was a big part of what I got from them was that how the man provides is financial. Now, a lot of my work in relationship over the years has been unwinding that a little bit, because I still believe that the man does need to provide. And I think that providing can look like a lot of different things. It took me a long time to kind of have that understanding for myself and understanding what I can provide to a relationship beyond just money. But in a lot of in my relationship growth, I got myself into some pretty bad situations thinking that the way that I needed to provide was financially. So I was, I got myself into a fair amount of debt because of that thinking. I set unrealistic expectations, like within certain relationships, of like, yes, I can do this. Yes, I want to do this, even though, financially speaking, I was really setting myself up in a bad way. I think coming into this particular transactional relationship, I remember having the intention of, all right, I've made some bad decisions before. So maybe instead of I need to take care of everything financially, maybe we try this thing. It's more of a 50-50 relationship. And so it started in the financial sense of, okay, cool. I mean, there were a lot of things that were a little odd about how the relationship started, because the one that I'm thinking about, she got pregnant like very early on. So we were in a situation of living together relatively quickly, sharing expenses relatively quickly. And it was, okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're just going to split it up. And I think that kind of set the tone for how we treated the entirety of the relationship in terms of expectation. Because I think in practice, there wasn't any sort of a true 50-50 going on. There was an expectation of a 50-50 transaction within everything, which in turn then created a lot of resentment. And like I said, I think there was a lot that was structurally, foundationally not so great and supportive about the relationship. But I think it was sowing the seeds of a 50-50 financial approach is kind of what set the stage for it appearing everywhere. And in a strange way, I can tell you that the best that I ever felt in the relationship, like the absolute best, and I'm not saying like from a romantic or even a love sense, but the best that I felt as just as a person, as the man, as the provider in that particular relationship, was when my partner at the time lost her income, and we were in a house, we had a lot of bills. There was a lot of potential problems with that. I had an agency job, but it was really flexible. So I took another job where I was basically working all day, coming home, eating, and then working into the evening, sleeping maybe a couple of hours, and then getting up and doing it again. From a health standpoint, from a satisfaction standpoint, I look at that and I think, God, how did I even do that? But I remember feeling a real sense of satisfaction, like, man, I'm stepping up. I'm like, like that was the best that I felt, which interestingly, it broke our way of being because I was financially taking care of everything. Now, like, I don't think that was like I've not let that dictate future relationships, in that I don't feel that I have to provide everything. I still sense that here and there, like it still comes up for me. Even when we go out, my knee jerk is always, I'm paying for that, I'm taking care of that, I'm doing that. And you're wonderful about, I think, letting me have that experience, but then also saying, no, I got this. This is my treat, which again, part of my work is just allowing that, because I see how you want to do that for me. And I see how receiving that is also a gift to you. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but
her greatest happiness is your happiness.
yeah.
Her gift is your happiness.
Yeah.
That is amazing, Charles. And I love hearing you say that, because that's a big struggle that a lot of men face, right? On the one hand side, we have the expectations of society that we have to be the providers. On the other hand side, though, we also want to feel fulfilled in that journey of doing that. Because if we only feel like we are being used and we are just like walking ATMs and that's all we ever good for, it's not fulfilling. But if you feel fulfillment in what you do and both of you feel fulfilled in giving to each other, I think that's where the roles really come to shine, because the roles basically adapt. I would say not as much on gender, but more about fulfillment. It's like a fulfillment role.
Yeah.
My upbringing example, and I think there's some truth in here and some that are not so right that I figured out later on. So my mom, she was always a very independent woman. She didn't want to rely on anybody else, probably a lot because she was given away as a kid. So she had this strong survival instinct not to rely on anybody else but herself. So she taught me the same. So from a young age, she told me, even though she didn't let me date, but she told me, whenever you do not ever rely on the man. So she meant make your own living, pay your own rent, don't live under somebody else's roof, because then you're essentially at the mercy of this person who's covering rent. Like, that's her framework. So what I thought was, okay, I'm not going to either be a burden on somebody financially or completely be dependent on somebody so that I don't have agency. Then I feel stuck in the relationship. But I also learned, when you allow somebody to give, you're actually giving them the sense of satisfaction. So I think that's also very important for a man to feel, because, correct me if I'm wrong, traditionally, the man, they were the hunters, so they enjoy the act of going out and hunting and providing. So I don't want to deprive them of that satisfaction. So that's how I balance the two now, because I love it when you take me out for dessert and dinner and drinks. I love that. And I show appreciation and I tell you how much I love it. And I make sure to tell other people about it.
Yes.
Charles took me to this amazing trip or amazing date, because I think that just, it further to feel good about it.
Yeah.
Elevating a social value by praising you as a great provider. Yes. A very important thing.
Yeah. And I find other situations to chime in. Not that you take me out for dinner tonight, I'll take you out for dinner tomorrow. For me, the way that I show my love language is buying concert tickets. So going to rock shows. Like, that's my way. Because I love surprising Charles with concert tickets. Mostly because these people, like, Charles has been introducing me to the classic rock legends. And I realized they're all in their 70s and 80s. I'm like, I need to go before, like, you experienced this. Great. Now I want to experience this.
Nice. That is a perfect balance. I love it. What you said makes so much sense. And two things that I wanted to note on before I forget them. The first thing is the expectation you go into a relationship with, right? I remember that a big difference also that most relationships have between my wife and I was, we know in the beginning what we wanted. I had this relationship matrix, right? And I literally told her the things that I want in a partner and what I'm willing to give and what I expect. And she saw, she also had her own list of what she expects, right? It was way smaller than mine, but still, right? And in the end, I think it's not about compromise. It's about that you don't have to compromise. It's more like, hey, the things you expect are things that I want to do anyway. And the things I want from you are the things that you want to do by yourself anyway. And then it never feels like a transaction, because you can just be your best self and it just makes the other person happy for you being who you are.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the one thing. And also, Isabella, what you said about letting others give to you is also a gift that you can give. 100% correct. I think there is no relationship that is 100% 50-50 in control, but it can be 100% 50-50 in outcome and in contribution. One person is always leading depending on where they are. For example, I'm the one leading if it's about the business side, or if it's about talking to people about like, hey, this shit is broken, we need a handyman to do this. Or hey, we need to organize a cleaning lady. I'm the one who does that. But on the other hand side, when it's about like, hey, did you think about this deadline? Or hey, how about we organize this? Or like actually starting specific work things so that I can look over it. That's her thing, and she leads there. I wanted to go to Japan my whole life. She was there twice. She planned the whole itinerary. She organized everything. Day 1 till day 15. She knows exactly where we're going and where. I leave that 100% to her. She leads this. But now it's for the upgrades to business class. I'm the one leading the conversations. Stuff like that.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you probably didn't feel a have to with the business upgrades. Like you probably didn't look at the situation and think, she's doing this, so that means I need to do, like you probably did it because you just
naturally
to do it and it felt awesome to do it.
Yes, exactly. And I think that's one of the most important things. When you're in a relationship, take a look at the things that you love doing by yourself that the other person appreciates and just do more of that. You feel your best self and the other person loves you for it.
Exactly.
How it should be.
To that, I notice that Isabella kind of sets me up to do things that make me feel good. I'm just going to say make me feel good as a man. And I know that it probably is not like a universal thing, but if I ever saw you carrying something heavy, that would be upsetting to me. And you do a great job of setting things up so that I do that for you.
Smart.
Which is great. Very early on, we got in a pattern of you don't open the car door for yourself. And that's a very traditional thing, but I gotta say, it's never felt like I have to. It's always felt like, oh, cool. Like that's how I am showing you or my kids, if they're around, I get to outwardly show a role, so to speak, that makes me feel good of providing. I love those little things.
Yeah, and quickly, whenever he opens the door, it's not like I'm sitting there and upset if he doesn't, but it's more like every time I give him my hand and he holds my hand and I said, thank you, you're such a gentleman, you know?
Perfect.
Like, and if there are other people around, especially when women see that, they're all like, oh, that's so sweet.
Yes, because in truth, everybody wants this kind of care. But those crazy brainwashed feminists, they cannot accept that. How dare you? I can open my own door and I will never submit to it. It's not about submission. It's about care. Submission doesn't mean being a slave. Everybody submits to somebody in some way, shape, or form. And it's a good thing if the other person is caring and loving about it. I had to train my wife to stay in the car until I opened the door. Like literally, like, I want to do this for you. And now she waits and she sees that I like doing it, right? But now I do it. One time, it must happen a few days ago, actually. The first time I ever got stopped by the police in Austria, actually, on the way to the gym. And I was going out in a rent car, like a share now car. So I have to end the rent or the cost goes up, right? And she was still in there. And one time it actually happened that I closed the app and ended the rent while she was still in there. And so she was like locked in the car and I had to restart the rent again. And so basically now she waits in the car so much that sometimes if I forget that she gets out, she's locked in. But yeah, the police stopped me basically and they're like, hey, we have a quick checkup. Do you have your driver's license? Sure. And it was like, oh yeah, by the way, you can end the rental. I see you have a rental car. It's like, yeah, just 1 second. Let me get my wife out of the car first, then I can end the rent. And then I opened the door, got it out, closed it, and then I ended it. And this is how it is by now. In the restaurant when she sits down, I put the chair down for her. I help her out of her coat. I help her into her coat. Like all that stuff. I think it's a nice thing to do. It's not like, I'm the man and the woman will be my slave. I took your coat. You belong to me, property. No, it's like, I love you. I want to help you. Let me do this for you, right?
Yeah. Well, can you speak to the training with the car? Because I don't know if you can speak to Lisa's perspective or her experience, but do you know what that was like for her, for you to initially come and say, I want to do this for you, and then for her to learn to let you do that?
That's a good question. I will have to ask her for that, but most of the time I know what she's thinking. So in the beginning, she wasn't used to it, definitely. I know that she appreciates it. And I'm pretty sure that most of the time she sits there because she sees that I'm happy when I can do this for her. I don't think she cares either way. She appreciates that I want to be a gentleman for her, but it wouldn't matter to her if I wouldn't do it. And in the beginning, when she wanted to get out, it was her own thing, right? So she doesn't see that getting out of a car is like her big breakthrough of freedom. And neither does she think, oh, he doesn't open the door for me. What a scumbag he is. Like, I don't think she cares really much. I do it for her because I want to show my care for her this way.
Yeah.
I have a question. From men's perspective, is there anything that you enjoy for your wife or partner to do for you?
That's a very good question. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Number one is, for example, when I come home and she greets me, she hears me at the door, and instead of like sitting in the living room or like, hey, honey, welcome back, it's more like she actually comes to the door to greet me personally. And she does this every time. It makes me so happy. Or like when either of us leaves, we always accompany the other person to the door, kiss them, I love you, looking forward when you're back, stuff like that. And doing that, feeling welcomed at home is amazing. The second thing is bringing me peace. That is so important. It's one of the very few things that I agree with the alpha males. A woman has to bring peace. It's more like she sees when I'm in distress or certain things are on my mind, instead of judging me for it, she comes and supports me and helps me to take the load off. Even if she cannot like physically help me because certain things are problems that I literally cannot delegate, she still offers the help. So I see she cares. And even if, like, for example, sometimes I'm in therapy, right? Sometimes there are things that I have to discuss with a neutral party because I know if my chaos in my mind gets out of my mouth in the way that it is right now, I might hurt her, even though I don't want to hurt her. It's not even about her, right? And I want to make sure that she doesn't think that I disrespect her. Like, I don't want a permanent damage for a temporary problem. And so I tell her that I do appreciate your care and this discussion about this. I do have to sort this out with a neutral person, then I would love to talk with you about it. And giving me the space this way, but at the same time being there for me in case I need her is amazing. Like, I remember when I thought that my grandmother was dead, I got this message. We were on the train and I had an internet connection. And so I see the message of my brother, hey, grandma, stop breathing. It was literally on the day that I left from home, and my grandmother pretty much raised me, like a very, very close relationship. And it was a huge shock for me. But at first, I didn't realize the shock. It was there. And then I was just like, okay, so I got to call my mom. And then pretty much I wanted to tell my client, hey, quick update for you, man. Something happened in my family. And I was like, basically very rationally telling him. But here's the thing. It was on Slack. And whenever I record voice messages, I think I told you last time also, when I record voice messages, I'm moving around. And Slack like stops the message if it flips. So I put the phone down. And as I explain it to my client, the whole truth hits me. And I start wincing and whimpering and crying and like completely, I didn't even know I could make these sounds, completely losing my shit. Without a single word, suddenly she's here and she hugs me. Just like that. Because she knew what's happening. I could cry my eyes out without like, oh, you see this podcast, people like, oh, if your man cried in front of you, like, oh my God, I don't know what you wouldn't respect him and stuff like that. In this moment, I knew I could completely let myself go, and she's here. That's the second thing, bringing peace. Mm-hmm. And the third thing is the actual appreciation and showing appreciation for what I do. She shows me her appreciation in so many different ways. For example, bringing me sweets when I mentioned I would like some. Or when she, for example, I don't know, do you guys know what squeezies are?
No.
Like, I don't know if anybody else does, but this is so cool. Like, especially after training, when my muscles are sore, when you put a gentle pressure on it or on the feet, feels so good and it's so relaxing. And I love those squeezes. I'm addicted to those. I could get this like all day, right? It's like a massage, but not like a massage. It's like you, for example, on my feet, like when she just puts a little pressure with her toes on my foot. Oh my God, it sounds like I'm describing a fetish, but it's not. But basically, just a little bit of pressure on there and it feels so relaxing. And doing that while we sit next to each other, like small little quirks that I have and indulging in them, that is also something. Like, this is my top 3. How about you, Charles?
That's awesome. Interesting, because I echo everything that you just said. Literally everything that came to my mind. So let me see if I can come up with some other thing. I love the consideration. I love knowing that she is thinking about me, and I love how she expresses that she is thinking about me, which is amazing. I love when we're out in a social situation with friends, whatever, that she will come to me and be like physical, not like in an overtly sexual way, but in an overtly like we are together way.
Yes. Showing that you're together, showing that you
Yes.
belong to each other.
Yes. I love that she takes the lead in that respect. There's something that is very fulfilling about that to me. Words of affirmation is a big thing for me. And so you've got a black belt in that love language. The fact that you speak to it and you do it so skillfully and you do it so frequently, that is awesome. And then, I mean, really everything that you said, Adam, is also so true. And the physicality as well of if there is an ache, you're so quick to let me take care of that for you. That is incredibly satisfying as well.
Yeah, this is the attentiveness, right? Proactive care, kind of. Yeah. That is awesome. And how about you, Isabella? Are there things that you like about the male counterpart doing things for you that you absolutely appreciate?
Oh, the first thing that comes to mind is the steadiness. In Hinduism, there's the Shiva energy and the Shakti energy, where the Shiva energy is the divine masculine. It's all full of potential. It's solid, it's steady, it's focused, it's linear. Where the Shakti energy, it's the divine feminine energy that is more fluid and spontaneous, and it's a transformative energy. And even in the sculpture, Shakti's sitting or she's dancing around Shiva, and Shiva's just sitting there and being super focused. And that's just a beautiful union of the transformative and potential. It's the actualization of ideas. I love that. So a lot of times I find myself in a very fluid and spontaneous and like lots of ideas popping up or lots of thoughts popping up, and sometimes emotions just flow in kind of like all over and everything's connected to everything. And sometimes I couldn't sort out what's going on. I just know something is affecting me to be grounded. And I love it when Charles is so steady in his presence. He's just there providing a very solid and steady and anchoring feeling. Anchoring meaning it's grounded, so that then I can feel good to just rest and calm down. So I appreciate that solidness.
Solid. Yeah.
Solid man.
You appreciate the solidness.
Appreciate the solidness. Yeah.
Nice.
All areas.
There we go.
Sorry, children.
The episode takes a turn. Now it's after dark. What happens when the lights go out? Stay tuned. Subscription on OnlyFans coming up. I also love how playful you are. And I don't know, society puts this perception on men that they're just serious or they're super rational. They don't show any fun or playful attitude. I love it when we play.
Fun is for betas. Follow my Hustlers University.
Yeah, I love when you open the doors for me, when you like. Lately, we have this morning ritual where I wouldn't even get off the stairs if Charles doesn't come and pick me up from the last stair and set me on the floor.
This is so cool.
Yeah, and we have this ritual when we go into this dessert shop that we love. I wouldn't go in, and he has to carry me on his back to go in.
This is so sweet. I love this. This is fun.
It is fun. And it's just fun because every time he's like, you must eat something sweet and delicious. And I'm saying, no, I won't. And then he just picks me up on his back and he like brings me in, and I'm like in the air. I'm like, put me down. And then everybody in the shop, they're like, what is going on?
This is amazing.
Oh, little caveman role play.
Yeah.
And what you should also do on top of that is that you like go to the counter and say, wench, my lady craves your delicious treats. Serve them at once.
Yeah, that's phase 2. I like that.
I loved it when it becomes like such a routine that like everybody in the store knows that it's gonna happen and they just like
Here we
play
go.
along. It becomes like a town phenomenon or something.
We're trying to start a trend.
Yeah, like a tourist attraction. This is actually very, very sweet. I love that for you guys. It's so cool.
I have a question. Do you enjoy it when I make decisions?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Like for us, for anything that's related to us, you like me taking the lead on that?
Yes.
Yeah. Quick backstory. I mean, I did decades of work within how do I grow personally, yes, but also grow within a relationship. Like, what does it mean to be a man within a relationship? What are other people saying? What do I personally self-identify with? And that was a big thing that I remember early on, was this idea that the man or the masculine is the decision maker. And whether I implanted that in my head or whether I just came to enjoy that, I do recall like that was not a natural thing for me. And maybe it's because I grew up, my dynamic with my mom in particular was that I was very appeasing. So it was like, whatever you want. So like for me to switch to, this is what I want, this is what I think we should do, this is where I want to go, this is where I think we should go. Like that was very different. But what I'm hearing from you is that that's true for you. You enjoy that. Yes.
Let me add some nuances to that. I enjoy when you present options.
Yeah.
Such as, we're doing this, we're going here, and these are the experiences I want to create. Therefore, I have 3 options. What do you want? But that to me, it's not just you saying, I picked it and this is how it's going to be and you're going to love it, which I still trust that you will pick an experience because I just know how considerate and thoughtful you are. And also I enjoy being given options because I see that you've thought through it. It's not you're just asking me what I want. Is it all on me to figure it out?
So basically he creates the basic frame and you can pretty much decide how the picture looks like.
Yeah.
That works for us. I don't know how it is for you. I can think of a friend within his marriage. His wife does all of the social planning and he loves that. He loves just getting to experience whatever it is that she's creating. I don't know what their day-to-day looks like. I know generally that that's what works for them. So I don't know that it's a hard and fast rule and everything, but I'm curious to know how that plays out for you.
Actually, funny thing is I mirror exactly and echo what you said regarding the decision making. I was not used to make decisions at all. I don't think that I ever felt like a born leader because I was raised to give others the first step. And the first connection I had to leadership was the class representative election in first grade. And for some reason, I absolutely wanted to be that. And I cheated on that election like crazy. I voted for myself like 10, 14 times and nobody realized it. And I felt so bad that they admitted to it the next time. It was the first thing that I had with leadership. And it took long times to understand that leadership is more than just being a guy who says, this is how it's going to be. And then I realized, for example, when I'm in a group, my enthusiasm for things is so infectious that people just want to follow along. That's what people told me, that, hey, when you say something, you're just going to do it. They're like, that's interesting. I never told anybody to do it. And then I realized basically everything I like, when I talk about it, it sounds like a sales pitch because I'm so in fire for it. When I talk to people about my water machine that I absolutely love, how it's like filtering the water, it sounds like I'm a master representative of that company. And I'm like, okay, are you selling this? No, it's just awesome. It's like, but where can I get it? I don't know. And then later I learned that when making decisions, it's actually putting off the pressure of people because decision making is hard. And at first I realized, hey, okay, so if somebody gives this on me, I'll just take it. I just do it. It's okay. It's just like before, it's like, hey, do you want to speak first? No, you go. Okay, cool. I do it. Like just like that, right? And the same is true in our relationship. I make most of the decisions, but we decide together like what the frame is. For example, hey, we want to eat. And I ask, what do you want? Like, do you have a wish? And if she says, I don't know, okay, cool, and I decide what we eat. Or for example, we also have this little ritual that when we brush teeth, we listen to a song so we know exactly 2 minutes for brushing teeth, right? And I ask her, like, do you have a wish? And when she has one, I put it on But if she doesn't, I just decide. Sometimes I don't ask her, just like pull one song up and I just do that. And the same is true in everything else as well. For example, I made a decision, we're going to fly business class, right? Because I don't want to fly economy. That's not going to happen. I'd rather cancel the flight than fly economy. No hate against it, but I have seen the differences and the way how fucked I feel when I fly economy, it is absolutely horrendous. You compare it to sitting for 16 hours straight in exactly this position and you can do absolutely nothing and the food is absolute horseshit. Or you have your own bed that has a massage function. You get a choice of amazing food that really replenishes you, and you have way more comfort. You arrive rested. That's worth a lot, especially when you have to work. Plus, the extra space to work stuff is amazing. And so I decided that, and she goes along with it. Now I'm also in charge of making sure that it doesn't cost her month's salary to fly this way. Just because I can afford it doesn't mean she can, right? And so that's that. But pretty much our decision making works that usually I take care of the hard ones. And most of the time I include her in the process and I tell her like, hey, this is what I want to do. What do you think? Or like, hey, this is a big thing. And I show her that because she is my wife and partner, she is part of the process. In the end, if needed, I will always make the final call. But most of the time we agree on things anyway. So it's like, we basically have the same opinions about almost everything. And we agree on most things at the same time. Long-winded answer, but I hope it makes sense.
So that probably comes down to choosing the right partner and having the right standards and knowing what you want so that you're setting yourself up for that kind of success within making decisions, within choosing what to do. Yeah.
Exactly. You're right. It's exactly the right partner for this, because I think if you have to negotiate or pressure the partner into following your lead, you're a shit leader. And because if the title or an agreement has to enforce it, in every single persuasion book I ever read, everybody said, this is horseshit. So many persuasion books disagree and agree on multiple things, but this is what they all agree on. Do not hide behind a title or an agreement. Nobody cares. You have to make sure that it is always in the people's self-interest to do what you want them to do. And ideally, in a partnership, you have the same self-interests.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome.
What did we learn today? What's the recap of everything we talked about? Let's go over lightning round.
I think definitely foundationally coming from a place of giving versus getting, I think that is huge. I think that there is a lot of merit to what are the things that your partner feels good doing in a relationship. Figure that out and then empower them to do more of that. Those are two for me. How about you?
Nice.
You summed it up perfectly.
Okay, thank you.
Agreeing with her man. That's a good woman right
now. Check.
Check. Yeah, I love what you guys shared about like being very playful with each other, because that's something that I'm pretty sure a lot of our listeners and viewers will very much resonate with. Because yes, even if you're a man, you can be playful. You can enjoy that. It's important for a couple. And also that it still is okay to be a gentleman. In fact, it's very much appreciated, right? And so make sure that you choose the partner that allows you to be your best self and allows you to thrive while you allow them to thrive. And what you say, like this rock-like solidness is important for you, Isabella, or like having him care for you, but on the other hand side, showing the appreciation and showing officially like, hey, he's mine, I'm his, right? Like this is also something that is amazing. And for you, Charles, you have this thoughtful leadership. As Isabella said it, I trust that even if you didn't ask me, it would be awesome because this is how thoughtful you are. This is leadership based on trust.
Yeah, that's great. Maybe for another time, I think it'd be really interesting to talk about the little things that happen within a relationship that just kind of elevate you and Lisa throughout the day. The little things like greeting each other when you first come home, or just any of the things that you talked about. I remember that concept years ago in a Tony Robbins training. And I remember hearing that and thinking, and because we have very similar practices, I bet that they carry way more significance than I even consciously think that they do. So I think it'd be
100%
for future to talk more about that.
100%. Most people don't realize that. It is the smallest of small things. Like it's a death by 1,000 cuts or love by 1,000 gestures, right? Because the big gestures that Hollywood shows us are not what makes the love. At least it might create it, but it will not keep it. It's small little rituals because humans are beings of routines. For example, if you have a good morning ritual and you have a noon ritual and you have a ritual how you eat or a ritual how you order food, how you eat together, how you clean it up, how you have the evening rituals and all of those things, every single thing you do will remind you of the other person. If you have a very loving relationship, you're constantly connected to them. All those small things contribute to important decisions later on. Take a look at how people cheat. Most people cheat. By the way, women cheat more than men, actually, by now. When they cheat, it's because they don't feel appreciated, they don't feel whatever, right? But if you are in a situation where it could happen or not, the person who doesn't cheat thinks like, why the hell would I? It doesn't even come to that because all the small decisions that lead to a situation where you could cheat also is influenced by the rituals that you have with that other person, if you would even do that or not. And this creates a very unique rapport. And then when you meet somebody else that doesn't follow the rituals that you already are doing by habit, if you talk to somebody else and they don't follow the same routines, there's immediately a rapport break. It makes pretty much cheating impossible if you have stuff like that.
Yeah, you illustrate it so well. I mean, that's it exactly. I love it.
Thank you. So if you want to hear more about that, tune in next episode.
Yeah.
My friends, it is always such a pleasure. Like every single week, every single episode, it's always such great fun. Thank you for always jumping on and sharing so much wisdom. It's amazing.
Likewise, Adam, this is super fun. It's always a pleasure to connect with you. So thank you.
Comment down below. We would love to know what you think is the thing that your partner does that you so appreciate.
Yes. Isabella, coming close. We almost forgot to tell people that. Yes, share it below. Woo!